evening on Thursday, April 10th, 2025. Hearings before the Historic Preservation Commission are quasi-judicial in nature. This is a design review process to determine if the proposed project is congruous with the special character of the historic district or landmark. Decisions of the commission are based on the record of these proceedings, the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, and the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation. Evidence submitted to the commission for review becomes part of the record. Appeals of commission decisions are to the Wilmington Board of Adjustment and then to the Superior Court and are based on the record. Appeals must be filed within 30 days of the date of the commission's action. Evidence is received during the evidentiary hearing portion of an agenda item, and those who want to address the commission are sworn as witnesses to present material and substantial evidence to the commission. The chair recognizes those who want to submit such evidence during the evidentiary hearing. Evidence should be directed to the commission. To ensure that the evidence is properly recorded, please come to the podium in the hall here to address the commission, state your name and address, and speak clearly. Members of the HBC are appointed by and serve at the pleasure of the City Council. Our charge is with respect to the protection and preservation of properties in the city's designated historic district. We are held to the standards of the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks and per applicable North Carolina state law to determine if exterior changes are congruous with the special character of the city's historic districts. It is important that we deliberate the merits of each request in a manner that provides a record as to the basis for our decisions. Please remember that our deliberations should be centered on how a project meets the design standards and whether the proposed change is congruous or is not congruous. Commissioners, if you have received or been made aware of any outside evidence related to any of the matters, please recuse yourself. At this time, I would like to request that all cell phones be either turned off or put on silent mode. Thank you. I'd like to introduce staff. Gina Essie with Assistant City Attorney in the Attorney's Office. Brian Chambers, the Assistant Planning Director. Ben Riggle, the Planning Manager. Monica Davis, Historic Preservation Planner. And Amy Bradshaw, the Planning Coordinator. And if I could have our commissioners introduce themselves, please. Stage left.
Joan Keston.
Allie Watts.
I'm Christopher Yermel.
Ashley Wilson.
Stephen Sulkey.
Ross Tomaselli.
And we will, at this time, actually will swear in witnesses that will be speaking this evening.
If I could have all staff, members of the public, and applicants, please stand up. If you're going to speak tonight, please stand up and raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you. The first item before us today is a approval of the minutes from last month. Does anyone have any amendments to those minutes other than me? I do have one that I wanted to make note of, kind of a clarification, but seemed like a significant one. It had to do with 2 North Front Street. It mentioned that I opened the evidentiary hearing, and then later on in this, toward the end of that item, it mentions that I was recused, but I didn't open. I just want to make sure that was recorded, that I wasn't a part of any of that deliberation.
I'll make a note that Ms. Keston was the one to open and close the public hearing due to her serving as interim chair at that time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So our first item of business is in regards to 503 and 505 South 3rd Street.
I'm sorry, before you get started, can I have a vote on?
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't do
approving
that.
the
Yes,
minutes
I
as
apologize. Would someone like to make a motion about those minutes?
Motion to approve
Second.
the minutes.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That passes.
Good evening, Commissioners. Case 1 and 2 are continued from the March HBC meeting, and they have been combined into one presentation in case summary. The projects for 503 and 505 South 3rd Street, excuse me, The houses at 503 and 505 South 3rd Street are contributing resources to the Historic District Residential, HDR, and as such, all facades of the dwelling and parcel are subject to the design review. The houses are located on the east side of South 3rd Street, one parcel south of its intersection with Church Street, and two parcels south of its intersection with Church Street. The applicant has proposed to improve the existing overgrown driveway that runs between 503 and 505 South 3rd Street by pouring a new concrete driveway to allow for better access to the property and parking areas. The existing concrete apron will be retained and incorporated into the new improved driveway. The proposed driveway improvement will extend approximately to the ends of the front porches of the neighboring houses, and then 2-foot concrete runners will be installed between the two dwellings leading to the backyard area, where 20 by 24-foot gravel parking pads will be installed. Gravel is chosen for its permeability. This is the site plan for the proposed driveway and parking pad with photos showing its existing condition for 503 South 3rd Street. This is 505's existing condition parking area. The existing driveway is lined with a low masonry curb retaining wall in various states of disrepair and features a concrete apron, both to be retained, as seen in the photos. If approved, in addition to the standard conditions, staff recommends that the conditions include that the proposed driveway improvement project and gravel parking pads shall be installed with minimal amount of grading to minimize the alteration to the property's topography. No mature trees or historic landscaping shall be removed from the project, as a result of this project. Are there any questions?
Between
Go ahead, Stephen. I'm sorry, go ahead.
between the concrete strips, will there be gravel, like in the parking pad in the back?
Yes, I do
Okay.
believe so.
And are they extending the apron toward the rear? Like the apron stops at a certain point? Are they continuing that and
basically
stopping
continue
it where the houses start?
They're going to continue the concrete back from where the apron ends. It'll continue back to where about the backs of the front porches.
So that'll stay full concrete, full rectangle of concrete, and
As
then
I understand it.
then it becomes 2 runners.
Then 2 runners, yes, correct.
From
and the
there,
rest of the
okay.
way, yes. The project manager's here as well.
Okay.
Can speak to it as well.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you. If the applicant would please come and offer any other information or take questions.
Hey, everybody. Just happy to answer any questions. It's pretty much, we were just chatted from last time, but yeah, just continuing that and doing the gravel parking pads in the rear.
Sir, could you state your name and address for the record?
Sorry, yep. My name is Shane Horan. I'm the owner of the properties for 503 and 505 South 3rd Street.
I'm just curious, did they ever measure between the two houses? I mean, can we get a Mini Cooper in there or a Hummer? Or,
Yeah, so that was one of the concerns, obviously, because it is a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
But any standard truck is even about 6.5 feet wide.
Right.
And between there, we've got around 9.5, and some areas even 10
Oh,
feet.
you got plenty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions? No? Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now we'll open the evidentiary hearing. If we could ask any members of the public that want to speak in favor of this or opposed. Seeing none, we'll close the evidentiary hearing and go to commissioner deliberation. Thoughts? All set? Any objections? Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. As soon as I find my motions.
Can we do both at the same time or not?
I think we have to do it.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Okay. I move to approve with conditions the request for driveway and parking pad installation for the property located at 503 3rd Street. This request is consistent with the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks based on the evidence provided, including the application and all attachments, testimony presented during the evidentiary hearing, and the staff report. Conditions 1 through 4. I also, do we have to vote on this first and then?
Yes. We're going to vote on this
Okay.
one. Was there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That
Okay.
passes.
Moving along.
And then the
Okay,
neighboring,
I move to
505.
approve with conditions a request for driveway and parking pad installation for the property located at 505 South Third Street. This request is consistent with the Wilmington Design Standards for historic districts and landmarks based upon the evidence provided, including the application and all attachments, testimony presented during this evidentiary hearing, and the staff report, conditions 1 through 4.
Aye.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? That passes also.
Okay.
Thank you. Our next item, Agenda 3, 507 South Fifth Avenue.
Good evening, Chairman and Commission members. The hearing was continued from March 13 Historic Preservation Commission meeting. There are no changes in the applicant's proposal. The Holland House located at 507 South Fifth Avenue is a contributing resource to the Historic District Residential. As such, all revisions to the building's facades and site are subject to design review to ensure compliance with the district's historic preservation guidelines. The subject property is located on the east side of South Fifth Avenue, 4 parcels south of its intersection with Church Street. The applicant proposes to construct a 2-story wood deck measuring 10 feet long by 20 feet wide on the rear of the house. An existing severely deteriorated small 1-story porch and wood steps at the rear entry of the rear of the house will be removed to make way for the deck. The neighboring house has 2-story deck on the rear facade. If the commission elects to issue a certificate of appropriateness for this request, staff recommends the following conditions to be applied. The proposed 2-story deck should not be constructed beyond or above the rear east elevation of the dwelling to minimize its potential view from the public right-of-way, and no mature trees or historic landscaping shall be removed as a result of the proposed project. Are there any questions?
Nope. Thank you. If the applicant for this item would like to come forward, please, if you would state your name and address.
Hey everybody, my name is Jeff Caldwell. My address is 507 South Fifth Avenue.
Is there anything you'd like to add to this? Did you note what was discussed at the last meeting?
Oh, I didn't make it to the last meeting. I was working, unfortunately, so I'm not really sure what it went through. I think there was a video. I wasn't able to watch it, though.
Okay. Yeah, just posted. I think it had to do with the
Stairs going
stairs,
downstairs,
yeah,
and
and-
they're still there, so that's.
yeah. So the stairs at that last meeting, we were curious about the
direction of them,
not the
probably.
direction, just the fact that there are stairs at all. Like, is it going to be
Oh.
2 apartments?
Oh, well, I want to have like a study upstairs and then live downstairs, so not necessarily apartments, but
But there are stairs on the interior of the space, right?
Yeah, there
Within
is.
the house.
yeah.
And would it not be sufficient to use the interior stairs, or do you need, because like the comment that was made last month was about the, you're eating up really all of the space, kind of the living space, if you will, on each of those deck levels by a set of stairs and an additional handrail. Like, could it be built without the stairs?
Could just the steps be built without the?
Oh,
I'm
the stairs,
confused.
I mean, to the ground, yeah, you could definitely do the stairs to the ground.
What do you mean eating away the living space?
Not the living,
The
but the
deck space.
the deck
Oh.
space.
Going up from the first floor to the second, you're
Okay.
eating up all of your deck space.
In other words, the stair would be external to the decks. The decks would be the position they are now, but the stairs would be on the outside going down to the ground,
Yeah,
giving
it
you
has
full.
off-street parking at this location, so I just was really excited about it and wanted to be able to get to my car from the back as well.
From the second floor.
Yeah,
So you want to be able to get to
exactly.
from the second floor deck to your car in the driveway,
So
quick.
upstairs to the backyard, yes.
Okay.
Okay. The other concern was that it appears the decks are tied into the structure with no post support, so that's a lot of load on the back wall of the house.
So the engineer that you hired drew this. I think it would work, but it was just a concern. Like, typically, you have a girder, so instead of half of the weight of both floors of this deck bearing and being attached to the existing home, that you put another girder closer to the house and have your joists cantilever over a little bit, so there's not so much weight on that existing back wall. I don't think it's anything from an aesthetic standpoint, personally, it's not something that is unusual aesthetically, but functionally, I just worry about that much weight being put on the back of the old house where there's another way to do it that takes some weight away. So honestly, I think that's probably between you and your engineer to evaluate if there's another way to do that. But I would recommend, just from having, I know how some of these things work, I would just consider a girder that breaks up the weight that's being attached to the actual, this old house and the old walls and the old girder and stuff. So, I mean, that's something to consider, but I don't know if any commissioners want to speak to the aesthetics or the choppiness.
I do. It's
Okay.
choppy, and it's not going to be functional. Need to figure out another way.
So could you build this without having the stairs from the second floor deck to the first floor deck? So you keep it a much bigger, deeper space where you can actually put like a chaise lounge, or like just have more space up there. Right now it's broken up by this staircase that comes down. It's probably 4 feet of space roughly that's taken up for stairs.
Or put the stairs on the outside of the deck.
Yeah, I mean, I like that idea. You know, the general contractor, he had a few different plans. This was just the one that,
Okay.
you know, I liked at the time.
Yeah. So if you don't have an objection to either putting the stairs outside of the footprint of the handrail, say, of the deck itself, then you could do that, or you could just eliminate the stairs in general and just use the stairs that exist inside the house. So I don't know, Ashley, do you think either way you
I think
wouldn't
the
have an
stairs
objection?
inside the house, because you do it on the outside, you're going to ruin your view. Sitting out on a deck, you're going to be staring at a pair of
Side of a stairwell, yeah.
But if you use the bottom set of stairs going up to the first level,
Need that, yeah.
need that, and then whatever you do to the front, use that and stop this middle thing going up. Whatever you do, you know, have the top story going to the downstairs.
Anyone else have any thoughts on that? Or we don't want to stand in the way of this as
I
it
just
is?
think you should leave the deck, as you said, the footprint the way it is, but put the stairs on the outside in the yard more. And that gives you two
Okay.
decks to enjoy.
Yeah, the man who drew these plans up, he had some experience, I guess, with these meetings, so he thought that the steps should go on the inside for some reason, because
Okay.
I don't think you can tell from the picture, but there's actually like a little alleyway kind of in
Yeah,
between
yeah, we
there.
can see that.
Or not an alleyway, but like a breezeway, I guess you'd call it. So that's the reason why he put them there, because he said the historical meetings like it when things are kind of condensed better and make sense a little bit more. So I actually wanted the steps where you had suggested, kind of on the outside, but you know, he put them here.
If you look at the house
Makes more
next
sense.
door, we kind of, I think that is the aesthetic that is more typical. You've got the steps going up in the bottom, and then you upstairs there's nothing on the decks, and there's no stairs in front of it obstructing your view
So
of the
Ashley's like
backyard.
suggesting that there are no stairs at all from the second floor.
Right.
From the second floor to the first floor, or to the ground level, there are no stairs at all.
Yeah, but if he has a
Joan
purpose
is
of why
saying-
he wants to have that.
Yeah,
that
Joan
we
is saying
can't-
something
and,
else,
you know,
right.
I don't
I'd
think you
like
can
to be able
interfere
to
with
get
that.
upstairs from the backyard, that was the point.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
understand that.
Well,
See that downtown, like, I don't know, I mean, it's not
What
unheard of.
you've built all these decks, and they're all staircase, and that's an expense
Yeah.
just to have those staircases without being able to enjoy decks.
Yeah, you know, the engineer and the general contractor, he just looked at the neighbors, basically. All neighbors have something similar.
From the second floor.
So the one next to it that you can see in the picture up there, they don't have steps from, you know, upstairs to down, but the house next to that one does. Theirs is kind of, it's actually set up pretty similar to the way this is.
I'm sorry, Ally, I don't know if that was noted, what your comment was. Could you repeat that?
Just, I feel like there's a precedent for, you see this all the time, these second story stairs, exterior stairs. I feel like so many houses have these. It definitely eats up the usable space. I think that's what the concern is of that. Your porch would be much larger if you could just slide it out, or, as Ashley's saying, get rid of it. But I think if you need that, then I don't have a problem with having stairs. I think just for your own enjoyment of the deck, I think just sliding them outside of that footprint. I drew a little sketch if you'd like. just so you know what we're saying. But I think
Yeah, I appreciate it.
just making that footprint bigger would be really nice.
Ross or Steven, do you have an opinion on this, or do we move on to?
I'm the same as Ally.
Okay.
I think it's fine. I think it just makes sense to move them outside the footprint of the decks.
Okay.
I have a question. In the picture on the screen now, what is the little railing thing on the side of the house? Is that a door over there?
Which house?
Yeah,
This
right,
house?
Right where you're circling, right there.
Oh,
yeah.
that.
What's that?
It's like a wraparound porch. It goes to the front, kind of around.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if you brought a stair down the side there, that would kind of interfere with that, or could you intersect that? I'm just trying to think how you could do this, that's all.
So you're suggesting, you're wondering if you can do the stairs from the second floor directly into the space between these two homes, or
Yeah.
as opposed to out of the back?
That would be, probably would be better, because it wouldn't
Well,
interfere with your deck. If you came up from there up.
right, but you've got to have enough distance from the deck to the second
Yeah.
deck, to be able to put a staircase in there that's not at a 70-degree angle. It's got to be so many steps.
Yeah.
Would we feel comfortable just allowing this applicant the discretion to either determine which is the better route for all things considered, to either have it on the very back or to have it come off the side and down the way you're asking, Stephen? Does that seem reasonable,
Yeah.
just to,
Yeah, it's just,
would someone like to make a motion?
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Was there anything else you want to add? Or we?
Oh, I
Okay.
don't think so, no.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm sorry.
Jeff,
One more.
are you good with that if we propose that, this is fine as long as the stairs are moved to the exterior of the deck footprint?
Yeah. So the only difference is basically the steps coming from upstairs to the second-story deck are moved on the outside.
Yeah,
not-
that's it.
not
Oh,
sitting
yeah.
on top.
Yeah, and it'll be
Yeah,
up to your
yeah, I'm
discretion
fine.
how it's laid out, but just moved
Yeah,
outside.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
We'll open the evidentiary hearing, and if we could hear anyone that wants to speak in favor of this or opposed, seeing none, we'll move to commissioner deliberation. I think we've figured that out. So I'd like to make a motion.
I move to approve with conditions the request for rear deck installation for the property located 507 South Fifth Avenue. The request is consistent with the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks based on the evidence provided, including the application and all attachments, testimony presented during the evidentiary hearing, and the staff report.
Second.
And putting the stairs on the outside of the
Right.
deck, right?
I guess that's condition 6.
Condition 6. I only see 4 conditions.
Sorry, condition 5. I've got the wrong one.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That
Yeah.
passes.
I oppose.
Oh, we have 1 opposition, and the rest of us pass. So I would just recommend that you and your engineer, basically what you want to tell them is how can we take some of the load of this deck off of the house? And the way to do that is with a girder, have a cantilever over just a little bit so it's barely attaching. You're not really putting much weight on the back of that house itself. And he can do that, he or she. Thank you. The next item, 4, 302 North 15th Street.
Papers.
Okay. The proposed project at 302 North 15th Street includes constructing a new garage studio accessory structure, moving an existing fence, adding a gravel parking area, adding a screen door, landing, and patio, and landscape modifications. The property at 302 North 15th Street is located on the northeast corner of North 15th Street and Grace Street. The house was initially constructed circa 1920, but was moved from the corner of 9th and Market Streets to its present location in 1988. Although the bungalow-style dwelling was moved approximately 6 blocks, the resource contributes to the Carolina Heights Historic District and the Carolina Heights Winoca Terrace Historic District overlay because it has similar character as the other dwellings on the block, and special care was taken to recreate the appropriate setbacks established at its original location. Because it contributes to the local historic district overlay, only which can be seen from the public right-of-way, excluding alleys, is subject to design review. However, because of its location on a corner lot, the majority of the property can be seen from the public right-of-way. The applicant is proposing several alterations to the backyard of the property, including the construction of a garage and studio, a gravel parking area that will be at the rear of the lot, accessed by an unnamed alley seen in the photo. A 6-foot portion of the existing privacy fence approved by an earlier COA will be needed to be relocated to allow for the alley access to the garage studio and the gravel parking area. Additional work includes adding a screen door to the rear elevation of the, oops, yeah, I gotta do one too soon, no. I'll get down to the next part here. The proposed garage and studio will be 20 feet by 24 feet on a slab-on-grade foundation. The garage/studio will feature siding, roof angles, gables, windows, and trim that match the existing dwelling. The proposed gable peak of the accessory building will be approximately 19 feet above grade, while the main dwelling has a height of approximately 20.5 feet above grade. The hinged garage door will face the alley and will be custom constructed of solid wood panels. The windows for the garage studio will be 6/1 units consistent with the windows in the main dwelling. The side door on the west elevation of the garage studio will be a solid vintage door, and a gravel parking area will be added to the northeast corner of the garage studio for a parking area. The photo on the left shows approximately 6 feet of existing wood privacy fence that will need to be moved to allow for the access, and then a small existing concrete paver patio seen on the photo on the right will have to be removed to make room for the project. The applicant proposes adding a screen door to the rear of the existing enclosed sun porch. In addition, a 4-foot by 10-foot brick-clad landing and a 6-foot by 28-foot brick patio will be added behind the enclosed sun porch. The patio will utilize 8-inch by 4-inch brick pavers, similar in color to the existing foundation of the dwelling, and it will be installed in a running bond pattern over greater than 4-inch base of gravel and sand. The property location on the northeast corner of North 15th Street and Gray Street allows for the majority of the property to be seen from the right-of-way. However, as seen in these photographs, the 6-foot existing wood privacy fence and mature ligustrum shrubs currently obscure most of the view of the backyard. If approved, in addition to standard conditions, staff recommends the conditions include that the proposed garage studio shall not exceed the height of the existing dwelling. The roofing, siding of the proposed garage studio shall match the existing dwelling. All work shall be completed within the property boundary with nothing extending into the alley easements. Is there any questions?
Any questions of staff?
I do have one here, if I can find it again. It's the roofing, it's a metal ribbed roofing? Where is that here? V-rib metal roofing gray union corrugated master rib? Is there a example or a picture of that? I don't.
In the application, there was kind of an application of what the finished product would look like. There's a document titled Studio Plan that shows the proposed roof, but it's just a drawing. Doesn't.
Yeah,
I don't know what the V-rib. I don't know what the V-rib union
That
corrugated
worries
master
me.
rib looks
Is
like.
it like a striated, I mean, because it looks like the house is shingled now. I kind of see the word corrugated and I think of a Quonset hut, so I mean, I'm sorry, I just want to know what we're talking about here.
V-rib.
Okay, but what is it? That's the last line there.
The applicant is here to speak.
Okay, good.
The one, when I just did a quick search for this, it does show, it's not flat between the V's or the larger ribs. It does show the striation, so I guess we can discuss that.
It says in the condition that the roofing and siding shall match the existing dwelling, so that kind of knocks anything
Well,
out that's not.
well, the roofing on the existing dwelling is shingle, right?
Right, and so it would match that instead of this stripe.
Ms. Wilson, could you speak into
It would
the
match the house in the conditions.
That was an error on my part. I did not mean to put roofing. I meant to put the trim. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
The trim and the siding will match the dwelling. The roofing is the different. I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's
okay,
cool.
That was my
okay,
fault.
okay.
There's what it looks like if you
Okay,
want to
yeah,
pass that,
yeah,
so
yeah.
anyways,
Something
okay.
we've not approved.
No.
Any other questions for staff? We can get there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. If the applicant is present, would like to speak to this, if you would please state your name and address for us.
Hi, I'm David Powell from 302 North 15th Street.
Okay. Any questions, or actually, would you like to add anything?
Well, yeah, I do have pictures of the roofing and a comment about the roof. The main structure is shingled. We have plans in the future to come to you guys to ask to change that to metal based on our preference, and also the house was originally metal, and we'd like to return it to its original. So the accessory building, at least the intent here is to match what we plan to ask for on the
Okay.
main structure.
All right.
Well, I think metal in general is fine. They'll just have some input on the look of the metal, if that makes sense.
It's the
To be
striations.
consistent with the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if this was flat between the ribs, that's fine, but it's the striations. We've not approved several that came with striation.
Okay, so, yeah, and I certainly
Okay.
am fine with changing to the metal configuration that you guys
Okay.
find appropriate.
I think it's good to know your plan about the house, because normally we have the accessory buildings the same as the main house.
And you have some privet you're going to be removing. You can probably go ahead and remove all of it, please.
Oh, yeah, sorry, sit.
Privet, the privet, the vegetation.
Oh, yeah, we're
cut it all.
minimizing what we removed to just what is necessary to
Yeah.
access the alley.
And is that in the fence that borders the alley, you're talking about taking out a 6-foot wide section? How much room is between the posts? I'm sure it's
well,
6 feet tall, but is that opening supposed to be just 6 feet wide?
Well, no, well, if you look at the lot plan, there's a 6-foot wide gate.
Gates.
And then in addition to that gate, additional 6 feet of fence. But you're right, there are 8 feet sections of fence, but we plan to move the post to.
You're going to move the
to
post.
minimize the.
Okay,
the
all right, so as long, yeah, because I would think you'd need a little bit more than 6 feet. Any other questions or comments for the applicant? Anyone? Okay, thank you, looks nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Now we'll open the evidentiary portion. If anyone would like to speak in favor or against, seeing none, we'll move to commissioner deliberation.
Well, I'm good except for just making sure the roof is flat metal and not striated. I mean, the plan looks nice, everything
Right.
else is okay.
And Mr. Riegel, you can help the applicant with just figuring out exactly what this is we're talking about, which kind of roof. It won't, between the main kind of primary ribs on this, the taller ones, there won't be any other texture between those. Yeah, okay. Anything else? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll do it. I move to approve with conditions the request for construction of a new garage studio, moving an existing fence, adding gravel parking area, adding screen door, landing and patio, and landscape modifications for the property located at 302 North 15th Street. This request is consistent with the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts landmark based on the evidence provided, including the application and all attachments, testimony presented during the evidentiary hearing, and the staff report. Conditions 1 through 5 and condition 6, the metal roofing will not be striated but flat between the ribbing.
And number two, it's the trim and siding of the proposed will match the dwelling, not the roofing.
Okay,
Second?
yeah, not the roofing.
That was, okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Again. Agenda item 5, 111 South 6th Street.
What are you doing?
The property located at 111 South 6th Street is a contributing resource to historic district residential. As such, all revisions to the building's facades and site are subject to design review to ensure compliance and the district's historic preservation guidelines. According to the Wilmington Historic District Boundary Expansion and Additional Documentation Report, the property is a one-story side gable L plan house. The front section of the house appears to have built in 1840 and it has a central entry with Greek Revival style transom and side lights opening to the hall. The subject property is located on the west side of 6th Street between Dock Street and Orange Street. The applicant proposes to remove the existing grass driveway and install a new 20 feet by 8 feet by 4 inches concrete parking pad terminating at the existing fence. Staff operations include there is an approximately 15 feet distance between this property and the adjacent property, and the existing concrete apron will be retained. If the commission elects to ensure a certificate of appropriateness for this request, staff recommends the following conditions be applied. The proposed concrete driveway improvement shall be installed with minimum amount of grading to minimize the alterations to the property's topography, and no mature trees or historic landscaping shall be removed as a result of this project. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
Appears no. Thank you. Is the applicant present that would like to come speak to this? I was wondering if it was you. Our last audience member, aside from the millions on TV. Hello, if you could state your name and address, please.
Wendy Schneider, 111 South 6th Street.
Ma'am, you're going to need to step to the microphone about one step.
Maybe
There you
drop
go.
it down. Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
And state your name one more time.
Wendy Schneider, 111 South 6th Street.
Is there anything you'd like to add to the presentation?
Can't think of anything.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
My only thing is, it's quite a bevel, well, a couple comments. It's quite a bevel on this ground, so all this rain, when it hits that driveway, is going to go shooting to the backyard. Are you kind of prepared for that? I can see quite a bit of water going down through there.
But there's a drainage system that they're proposing also.
Yeah,
Did
the
I-
gutters throw it down there anyway. And what he was going to
Okay.
do is join my neighbor's gutter, my gutter, underneath the driveway.
Underneath,
And have a little
okay.
pop-up.
I see that.
deck
That's what it is.
in-
Okay.
Into the yard area.
Okay.
Okay, the only other question, there's some beautiful pieces of slate laying there. I hope you're not going to bury them or destroy them or,
I have plans for those, but
Okay, good,
unfortunately, they're too
good.
big for me to lift.
Well, this landscape company, I'm sure, could help you with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he's
okay.
got a little digger, he can
Yeah.
just lift them up and carry them back.
So you're managing the roof water, but you're not, but there's also surface water that's going to now fall on an impervious surface, and you said it grades back toward the back of the house, Stephen? Is that what you saw?
oh yeah, the grade is way back, it's, yeah.
So the surface water that falls there will also run toward the back, and it's going to be, so this new concrete, this full concrete surface between your home and the neighbors, the water is not going to shed toward the sides. It's all going to shed. They're bringing it together so it all runs to the back.
Right.
Would
Well, he said he's going to mitigate as much as he can where the water goes, and that's why he wanted to take the gutters and put pipe under the
Okay.
driveway. So all that rainwater coming off the roof. is
So
gonna go in
currently,
the
are the
backyard.
gutters going into that, just into the alleyway? Currently,
Yeah,
the gutters
yeah,
are into
right.
the alleyway? So I think if they're taking the gutters and they're redirecting the water that's already being poured into that alleyway, I think it'd most likely be able to handle whatever surface water it's.
And there will still be, it's not going to be concrete from house to house.
Yeah.
Because there's a crawl space under my house that the people that check on the, whatever that dehumidifier is under there, they need to get in there. So, there'll be like
Whoa.
dirt or something. It's not going to
Wait a
be
minute
all the way
here,
to the
let me
house.
look. Wait, I'm getting myself more confused. Okay, wait, concrete, so the concrete will actually be touching the foundations of both houses? There's no gap or anything?
No, she just said there is a gap.
There is a gap.
Oh,
That's what I'm
okay,
saying.
okay.
There's,
That's
they
what I
have to leave
thought,
room
all
for
right.
the-
I would almost suggest that when the concrete was poured, it kind of beveled down to the middle a little. I'm not as worried about your backyard as I am about these foundations, because of the age of these houses, these are probably soft brick foundations with limestone mortar, and you don't want a ton of water.
Well, you can see my neighbors where her gutter is going down, it's already undercut
Yeah.
the house.
It's just, this thing, as long as the water is not hitting the foundations, the houses, and
Right.
somehow controlled.
No, it's going to be out in the yard.
Have you looked into using some impervious material?
Or
for the-
runners, or concrete runners just for the wheels, so you get that much more absorption of water that doesn't want to run to the back.
Well, one of my concerns is, I'm 78, and trying to get my trash cans from behind the fence up that driveway, over those big slabs, and over the ruts and everything.
Yeah.
And if I have 2 pads, they're probably not going to be wide enough even for the trash cans. So I'm still going to have the same issue of, it's hard
Okay.
for me.
What about putting French drains in the back? Because I have that in my house, that it runs on the concrete to the back, and then it goes into a well.
Uh-huh.
And that solves the concrete runs it back there, and then it goes into a well, and it doesn't flood the backyard at all.
Right. Okay.
If you did something like that, you'd solve that surface water.
Well, he said he was going to do something to,
Yeah,
I don't,
I
don't
think it's
speak
kind of,
concrete.
it's kind of on the contractor to do a good job, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They should be taking all this into account. I don't know if we need to,
He came 3 times to look at the driveway and said he could make it better than it is.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm concerned about the foundation and the fact that you've got a dehumidifier under there already, that it's going to make it worse. So,
But she has the water that's, the way this concrete will be poured and finished, that should create a valley in the middle of it to convey that water directly toward the back, and there's probably at least, I don't know what the dimension would be, a foot from each foundation wall. There'll be maybe 12 inches
Yeah, I'd
from
say
the
at least
brick
a
to the
foot, yeah.
start of the concrete, then you have the concrete, then another 12 inches or so?
That's what I'm getting at. It should be beveled to center, so the water does not go off the sides onto the house as it goes straight to the back.
I think that's what the contractor is proposing to, the contractor just needs to look out for your best interests and make sure that the water is
Right, yeah,
funneling toward the slightest of valleys in the middle of the driveway.
yeah.
As the driveway, so that's going to parallel the length of the sides of the house and convey the water toward the back.
Yeah,
And then you have these drains from the downspouts that are going to go through some conveyance and come up in pop-up drains on either side, probably. Their pop-up is, you're going to have 2 pop-ups, I would assume.
I think he's going to consolidate the 2 lines into one
Oh,
under the driveway. I think that's what he said.
okay,
We talked to the neighbor as well. The 3 of us had a conversation about it.
yeah.
To make it, especially for her, because there's a big hole under her foundation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this isn't, as far as the effect on the foundation, this isn't too dissimilar from the first, there's cars that are now going to be driving along here. Whether it's concrete or not, they're going to be vehicles driving along this thing, and it's the weight of the vehicle, not so much the weight of the concrete, that could have some kind of deleterious effect. But I think I don't know if we can really, I don't think the foundation's going to be affected by this myself. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Public out there.
Would anyone in the public like to speak in favor? I'll open the evidentiary portion. Nope. Anyone to speak against? Seeing none, we'll move to deliberation, commission deliberation. So some final thoughts on this so we can make a motion?
I mean, looking around the neighborhood there, there's a lot of gravel driveways, but almost directly across from her, there is a concrete driveway. So it's not unheard of.
That goes the length to the backyard?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much, yeah.
Between the houses all the way to the back?
There's-
Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make it. I move to approve with conditions the request for concrete driveway installation for the property located at 111 South 6th Street. The request is consistent with the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks based on the evidence provided, including application attachments, testimony presented during the evidentiary hearing, and the staff report conditions 1 through 4.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Any items from commission, general items from commission? I want to say I did this training that goes toward the LCG credit on mass masonry that I think Amy sent to us. So I was a part of that webinar earlier this week, and it was fascinating. It was led by a structural engineer out of Boston, and there were many participants in the webinar that were in the audience, if you will, but it lasted about 45 minutes, and it was just fascinating on mass masonry buildings, big buildings, you know, in commercial buildings typically that have 3 or 4 wide the brick at the bottom, and each floor it steps up into smaller and smaller, narrower walls as it goes up, and it was great. And I just appreciate that staff puts that in front of us, and, you know, we can take advantage of those at times to pay attention to those kinds of meetings, but that was really interesting. Any items from staff?
No, sir.
I just have one thing. I want to thank the commission for helping the applicant at Gibbon Lodge number 2. I'm meeting the contractor out there tomorrow to look at the window restoration, so that project will hopefully move forward. So thank you all for your insights and advice to the applicants.
Awesome,
Wonderful.
great.
That is great. That's great news. Thank you.
Sorry, Monica.
Thank you. Anyone else? Staff? No? I'd like to make a motion, or someone make a motion, we adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, thank you.